welcome to this week's edition of the DC Life. It's Fight Week, UFC 196. We definitely got to touch on that. I'm your host, Sal Mika. I got my co-host, Michael Frankel. But first, we're going to jump into it. As always, every weekend, there is national fights happening. Bellator, you called it. Micah, what did you call it?
I called Czech Congo winning, and I called it a snooze fest, a borathon. I'm barely waking up from it. Czech Congo don't want to fight no more.
But before we came on air, you called it Snoozator.
Snoozator.
150 happened on Spike TV. Congo, it was a boring fight. What were your thoughts overall on the performance?
Czech Congo has given up, and he knows he doesn't have any other skills. He's trying to make as much money. Can't get mad for cashing checks. But he don't want to fight. He really don't want to fight. He's clinching and he's punching if he has to. He's doing it all defensively. There's a fine line between fighting smart and just being there and showing up. Czech Congo looks like he's cashed in. You know, he's walked away from the sport. But I think Bellator's going to keep pushing him because he's a name. He's a veteran. And I think next time we'll see him, it's going to be, again, a main event or a co-main event. And I think Bobby Lashley's up for him next.
I think it's going to be co-main event. I don't think it'll be a main event fight. They have, again, we've said it multiple times after the whole Kimbo Slice and Dada fights and Royce Gracie, they have to start showcasing their real talent. Because they do. They have hidden treasures in their promotion. They got to start letting these young guns go and really start showing people exciting fights. Hence, you mentioned there was 2 young guns on the card. And for all the results, you can go to cageminds.com. But touch on those 2 young guns that were in there and what kind of...
Chucka Willis and Gaston Rayano, they had a back-and-forth war, multiple disciplines, multiple skill sets. They hit the ground, they stood up, they strike. Big head kick was landed from Wilness. He pulled out a unanimous decision, but that was the one fight that showcased the youth. Rebecca, I am forgetting her, Ruth dominated Leanne Ovecheka. Leanne is the girl that we were seeing for many weeks. Every time Spike would put the camera on the hot girl at ringside, that was Leanna from Russia. She got dominated. A bad night for Bellator. Their crowning jewel, the girl that they wanted to push, Paige Van Zandt-esque, she went down. It was a bad night of fights. Good night for Kansas. Dave Rickles won, bloodied up Bobby Cooper. And for the rest of the results, again, go to cageminds.com.
Bobby Cooper, who's never been stopped in his career.
And then he had a tough fight.
So Bellator 150, the quick results are up, cageminds.com. Check it out. Let's touch UFC Fight Night 84. And we're just going to talk about the main event. And this kicks off Michael Frankel's cageminds.com referee rant that's going to happen because we're going to touch on Glory also. That was wild. We just watched
Refs are just nuts. Refs are nuts. I don't know what they are doing.
Michael Bisping defeats Anderson Silva, unanimous decision.
I still feel like I'm dreaming when I hear that, and I still can't believe that you can win by knockout and lose by decision. The whole world saw it. Let's all recount this. The first round, the second round. Oh, definitely Michael Bisping rounds.
Yeah.
Anderson did nothing. Total Muay Thai-esque. I'm just going to watch you. He did get caught a couple times. He did get stumbled. He got put on his butt. It wasn't like a real... I guess it was a good knockdown. The minute his butt hit the ground, though, he was wide alert. Bisping was dominating. And then that third round, the more we talk about it, the more I feel like there's this giant lapse of time when Bisping's mouthpiece fell out, but there was only seconds. He's like, we weren't striking. You can rewatch it a million times. They were in the clinch, in each other's face. He was getting hurt. The big knee. The buzzer, a second, 1.2, 1.3 after Anderson lands the knee. Anderson Silva has walk-off knockout home runs of Yushin Okami, Bonner, James Irwin. We can keep going.
Forrest Griffin.
Anderson Silva is a martial artist. He doesn't inflict extra damage. He went down like a sack of potatoes. Bisping was out. He's out, curled up on the cage. Herb Dean's looking at him, and they're having a conversation. I've never seen so many conversations. Herb Dean had a lot of conversations with Michael Bisping throughout this fight. I don't understand. You're enforcing the rules. If you have to talk to the fighter to make sure if he's okay that much, he's not okay, the fight is over. It took exactly 20 seconds. We timed it a little over 20 seconds from when Bisping's butt hit the ground to when he got up. also got to point out that because of Anderson's antics and whatever, for some reason, the officials, you got to blame them too. Herb Dean didn't call off the fight. If we're not calling out the fight, who let all these people in? There's all this commotion. Bisping had an extra 40 seconds to recover. That was crazy enough in its own right. He was totally out, like we said. The more you watch it, the more apparent it was that he was dead in the corner, hunched over. They're having to put life back into him. It was a horrible call.
It was absolutely the wrong call on Saturday night, or Saturday midday, I should say, because we're watching it live from the United States, and it's an event in London, the O2 Arena. It was I didn't really see the time. I rewatched it this morning at the Fight Shop New Mexico on UFC Fight Pass. 1.5, you could even possibly say 2 seconds. Micah, I know you got it down to a science where you timed it specifically. But yeah, I mean, he was out cold.
He was out cold. He was not fighting at that moment. Anderson would have walked over there, hit a defenseless man. He's not the guy to do that. And let's get to the fifth round even. The fifth round, Bisping's bleeding like a stuffed pig everywhere. I counted that he's wiping the blood from his eye 15 times. The doctor came in. They didn't even have a conversation. He really didn't even check the cuts. He wiped his face for him and then left. I'm like, he took away the blood. Bisping's wiping it 15 times. If you're not going to save the fighter when he's knocked out and when the blood is obviously affecting his vision, dripping into his eye, when is the ref going to step in to save somebody? You're just not going to make that call, I guess, in London and get booed. The doctor's not going to make that call. The ref's not going to make the right call. The judges obviously didn't make the right call because of the flurry in the end of the second round won that for Bisping. Then the flurry at the end of the fourth round when his mouthpiece is popping out, he's falling around against the cage, and he's wobbling as the round ends. Definitely Silva won 3, 4, and 5. He was robbed of the knockout. He was robbed of the decision. And his camp has offered Bisping to come down to Brazil and they can, rematch. I think that sounds great. Let's rematch in Brazil. If they both win, trilogy in Vegas, neutral ground. Sure. How egregious is reffing and judging? And then that leads me to my other rant of, did you notice that Brad Pickett, the only other close decision, just happened to go to a Brit? If you rewatch that fight, it's egregious too. Francisco Rivera won 29-28. It was a bad day to not be from London.
Judging is all in perspective. Referees make mistakes. With that main event, though, it was bad. It was bad, and Herb's a veteran. These two gentlemen that were in the cage with each other, Anderson Silva and Michael Bisping, are veterans. They're not amateur fighters talking to the ref. The golden rule, protect yourself at all times. They clearly tell you that when day one in a sparring session, your very first sparring session. Protect yourself at all times inside the cage or ring or on the mats. And these guys, and he's blaming now, the Sunday morning quarterbacking, he's blaming Herb Dean. Oh, well, that's the reason why I got hit with that knee. No, Michael. You turned and decided to have conversation in the middle of a fight with a ref that clearly wasn't going to stop the action at that moment. Rightfully so. He shouldn't have, just because let me tell you, if we go back to Ronda Rousey, Holly Holm, Holly's mouthpiece popped out of her mouth, and they continued to fight until the pace slowed down. Then they stopped it, put the mouthpiece back in. That's usually what the refs do. They wait for the slower part of the action to happen. It just so happened Michael Bisping decided to turn, talk to the ref, and ate a flying knee from Anderson Silva that put him out cold about a second and a half, 2 seconds before that bell rang. And I mean, as Bisping's laying there in a crumpled up pile, talking to him, saying, "No, we didn't stop the fight." Imagine if there's 30 more seconds left. And Anderson's running around and that knee lands and Bisping's down the floor. Are you still going to be looking at him saying, no, there's time on the clock. We didn't end the fight. If you find the way to get up, we're going to keep this going. Absolutely not.
What kind of crap is it also? Just this is a general sports thing. The fourth quarter does not make the first quarter different. The main event does not make the first fight of the night any less meaningful. You judge them, you ref them the same. You save the fighters first. You don't let them go on a little extra because it's a main event and we're doing it for the fans. You don't want Bisping to be dead. I put on Twitter, if they say later now, Bisping's suspended for 6 months, he has a concussion, Anderson Silva has a little cut on his left eye, he's suspended for 90 days. Should they have stopped it? He suffered a traumatic brain injury. No. The ref thought he was able to withstand more, that he might, maybe he should just die in that ring, because I don't think it's over yet. I don't want to get hated by the crowd. I think you have something left. And then also, just like case in point, let's go legal status. Is there any precedent on this? Go back, people, spike.bellator.com. You can look up the highlights, Bellator 94. David Rickles catches Syed Awad with a straight right. Syed Awad drops, the round ends. Awad lays there, obviously not hurt. But because he took an extra 5 seconds on the ground, the ref ran over. Without asking, without having a conversation, without talking, stopped the fight, said, no, if you were all right, you would have got up, I stopped the fight. Precedent has already been set. If you're fine, get up and fight. If you're not, we're stopping the fight. Herb Dean took it upon himself to exact his own more than justice, more than ruling right there. And it robbed Anderson Silva. It was a hard night to swallow. And then, do we want to touch on Glory as long as we're talking about refs?
We will, but real quick, also, you got to also realize that there is no athletic commission overseeing it. It's the UFC overseeing the UFC.
And we believe these people know what they're doing.
So they bring in the people that they perceive are the best. Herb made a mistake. It could have been a costly mistake for Michael Bisping and his health long term. It could be, I should say. Anderson Silva won this fight. He shouldn't feel like he lost. But is Anderson by any means the Anderson Silva of old? No way.
No, he's too old now. People are catching up. I think he takes on some young guns. He'll get hurt. He can't play around like he was.
Luke Rockhold would eat him up.
Eat him up and destroy him. Bisping made him look slow.
The top 5 would munch him up too.
And then let me also explain one more time my hate for Michael Bisping and Chael Sonnen and guys that hype up a fight. Call a guy a PED loser and then come over to you for your interview and grab your hand and explain the giant, enormous amount of respect and admiration they had. Bisping, you're from London. You were going to sell out the show. You haven't been back there in years. It's you and Anderson Silva. You didn't need a boast at your mouth like a little bitch the whole time about how much you hate him and how much you can't stand him, and push him at the end of the first round when he was trying to show you some respect, and then at the other end come and love him. And then backstage we're putting up photos of how they're holding hands when they're getting stitched, and they have all this respect and admiration, but you hated that man and you thought he was a dirty, rotten cheater. I hate Michael Bisping because I hate guys that just blast off at the mouth for no reason when they really don't mean it.
You know what? I actually have had a change of heart with Michael. I think he's showing tremendous heart. I think he's at the end of his road. It's 10 years, I believe, that he's been with the UFC.
Do they give him a title shot as a Lifetime Achievement Award?
As him winning officially, I don't see why not. However, those cuts on his face and busted open, he's not going to be ready in that time frame. I know Chris Weidman is out, so that immediately, well, in the sense of being injured, having some injuries that he's healing up and whatnot, correct, from the fight?
I thought they were supposed to actually rematch. Well, right now, they're not announcing anything.
They haven't announced
anything. Weidman-Rockhold, I thought, was still in the realm of possibility.
Possibilities.
But
why? Why? When you get thoroughly beaten, why?
I don't know.
It's the same thing as with Holly and Ronda. Why?
Okay, I'll tell you why real quick. Because Yoel Romero is sidelined with a possible PED suspension.
But look, you got another guy now in Michael Bisping. If his face is healed and he can heal up fast enough, you got a guy who you can put in there who will draw fans from the UK. Oh, you kidding me?
Maybe things change. No. I understand the business behind it, but we'll see if things change.
It would be Ricky Hatton-esque from boxing. Bringing fans over and them chanting. I love that about the UK. Let me tell you, that's the one thing that I say they got over everybody else. Is the way they chant, the way they bring in their little drums and start beating on them. It's wild. It's a wild crowd. I love that factor. But real quick, for the quick results on UFC Fight Night, Anderson Silva, Michael Bisping, go to cageminds.com. That's what we wanted to touch on that particular fight. And the rant of the referee, he made huge mistakes there. Speaking of referees, Glory 27, Chicago. Micah, take it over.
Okay, so you get to the main event, and we have Simon Marcus challenging Artem Levin for the Glory middleweight title. This is a rematch. They had a draw the first time. Both of these guys, it's a kickboxing bout. They come from a Muay Thai background. So theoretically, there's already a difference there. They're used to throwing elbows. They're used to clinching. Clinching was not to be allowed. Clinching was already something that was addressed in the last fight. It was a clinch fight fest, and that's not really what Glory's out there to promote. They're out there to promote kicking, punching, and finishing. So already it was both fighters in the introductions, as we watched here in the fight shop earlier. You saw they were already told no clinching. Well, throughout the first round, there's a little bit of clinching. Second round, we get some more clinching. There is a point deducted from Artem Levin. Levin quits the fight. The fight should be over at that moment. He tells Al Roker, "You're taking a point from me. I don't believe this is right. I'm fighting right." Who knows what he's saying because he's Russian. Artem Levin's not communicating with Al Roker, and he waves off the fight. You saw that, right, Sal? He waved off the fight. Simon Marcus is being told to fight. Simon Marcus went over there and pumped him. You could call it a dirty punch, but hey, Al Roker was not stopping the fight, so Simon Marcus is doing his job. He's going after that title. He's laying punches. Levin has to fight. He's fighting back. We get to the third round. Interestingly enough, when they are fighting, when they are throwing outside of the clinch, Levin is landing and being very effective. But we get back to the third round. More clinch, more clinch, more clinch. A second point is deducted. And then 30 seconds later, after Artem Levin, I think 3-4 times, tells Al Roker, "I'm waving it off." I'm watching this online live, and I can understand the wave off. No, I'm done. He's trying to get out of the ropes. He does everything but jump out of the ring, basically, trying to stop the fight. Simon Marcus is running around celebrating, very gentlemanly, not attacking, and the ref was not calling the fight. It took 30 seconds for Al Roker to actually understand and accept the disqualification, the quittal, the throw in the towel. What the hell is wrong with the ref? What the fuck is his problem? The fighter is trying to quit. He tried to quit in the one round. We're here for fighter safety. Yes, it is entertainment, but if he wants out, I'm letting him out. Fight's over. It's all him.
If I was the athletic commission for Chicago, I would definitely be reviewing this guy and what his thought process was behind that, because the fighter clearly is waving off, turned his back, and the ref is there clapping. Fight. 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 3-4 times he does that, and the fighter is clearly giving the universal "I'm done" fight. If I was a cornerman, I would grab that towel full of blood or snot or whatever else and slap the ref with it across his face, threw it right at him. I mean, if that's the only way you're going to get it, protect your fighter. As far as the dirtiness of the other fighter, no, it wasn't. He did exactly what he was instructed to do. The ref told him to fight, so he fought. You know, again, it's protect yourself at all times. And I tell you what, though, that Artem Levin, if and when he wants to fight, he kicks ass.
A main training partner of the Diaz brothers.
Wow. Yeah, this guy. I mean, when they actually after he quit the first time, and then they started fighting again because the ref told him to fight, he looked angry. And he could fight. So if you want to see that, go to ESPN3. Find it there.
One more real quick thought on that I had that was even more strange about it is from the second to the third round, Levin did go off the scale, though, and return to the ring. So you could have just sat there, I guess, and I'm not getting up. I'm done in between rounds. But he had already got hit. Maybe he was a little emotional. That was a thought.
I think emotions. I think as a fighter, you know, you felt cheap-shotted. They were already in each other and grinding on each other's face in between rounds as the bell rings and whatnot. So it'll be interesting. Maybe his contract's over with Glory. Maybe he'll go to Bellator kickboxing. You never know. You know, you just don't know. We'll see.
I'm a bank on that one. I'm sure we're gonna see Artem Levin on Spike TV again.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. I mean, he's exciting when he wants to fight. Holy cow, this guy is awesome. That was Glory 27 Chicago. Again, if you want to see that, ESPN3 for the full event results, go to cageminds.com. Anything else you want to touch on before we go to break?
Artem Levin makes his Spike Bellator debut when they do a Bellator MMA, Bellator kickboxing simultaneous event. And after the way Dana White treated him, Frankie Edgar's also on the card.
Yeah, Frankie Edgar, definitely. Real quick before we do take a little quick break, let's talk UFC 196 this weekend.
Holly Holm, Miesha Tate. I'm very confident in saying Holly Holm's going to win, and I'm very decisive about that, and people kind of take that as that we're taking away from Miesha Tate. Miesha Tate is tough as nails. She is dog tough. But she gets caught on the feet. She gets hit in the face.
She stands straight up with her chin up in the air. I mean, I don't see how this girl's not... Jesus Christ. And you know what? She's done it from her time with Strikeforce, from her debut in the UFC. I mean, look at Ronda Rousey. You saw what happened to her with her boxing, with her supposed great boxing skills, and she was eating her up on the feet.
If you really watch Miesha Tate's striking ability, her feet do not move forward when she strikes. Holly Holm, just in the movement, in the range, in the distance, as we become involved to this more martial artist kind of developed MMA, the footwork is just light years ahead of these girls. There's a distance problem that Miesha, I don't know if she can solve.
No. She couldn't solve it with Ronda, and Ronda was even the bigger fighter of those two. Imagine how much more bigger Holly's going to be and stronger. So when Miesha does try and take her down, because all Miesha does is a blast double. She's not a clinch and throw type of girl. So, you're not... And you saw what happened when Ronda tried to throw Holly. Holly ended up picking her ass up and throwing her down to the mat. So
Miesha's double leg is going to land her a face full of canvas.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to get... The back of the head's going to get smashed into the canvas, and then you're just going to see them overhand rights to the ears and to the side of her face. And that might be the end of the fight right there.
I'm giving Miesha a chance. She has that puncher's chance. We've not seen Holly, against a wrestler. There is that ability, but we also really don't see Holly in the clinch. We don't see people touching her. I got to believe Holly wins this. McGregor and Diaz. Oh, the hype. This is blissful.
That got announced last week after we recorded the DC Life. And Dos Anjos got injured, something with his foot.
Broken foot. It looked like it was giving birth to an alien. It is a legitimate broken foot. There is an obstruction. I do not blame the man for not wanting to fight. It looks pretty gross. So the lottery happened, and let's throw Jose Aldo, who's on the couch, under the bus. He didn't want to fight all of a sudden when Dana White told him, no, we're going to sit you for a long time. Frankie Edgar had groin surgery. They threw him under the bus. He doesn't want to fight. But all of a sudden
and that's bullshit. That's bullshit because this guy had groin surgery. He's wanted to fight. He was told he's not going to fight. So of course you're going to have surgery. You're
going to take care of your injuries.
You're going to take care of whatever injuries.
Tune up that machine.
And then to reach out to his management, and they know when their fighters are going under the knife. I guarantee you they have a policy that's saying, hey guys, if you guys get injured, have one of your management teams tell us, the Zuffa organization, somebody in that Zuffa chain of command who's at the top, whether it's one of the matchmakers or Dana White himself or Fertitta himself, knew their former champion is out because of surgery. They had to.
Dana White's burning bridges everywhere. Everyone's thrown under the bus. Uriah Faber, Anthony Pettis, Donald Cerrone all accepted the fight, but somehow through quabbles, squirrels, whatnot, the lottery winner is Nate Diaz, Stockton, California's own. And instead of us seeing the lightweight debut of Conor McGregor, we are going to see the welterweight return of Nate Diaz with the welterweight debut of Conor McGregor. So McGregor has officially announced that he's just done with Dos Anjos. If Dos Anjos doesn't want to fight, I don't care about your belt. He wants to win this fight. And for UFC 200, we're going to have Robbie Lawler versus Conor McGregor. I'm here to tell you people that because I don't believe 10 days off the couch that Diaz, with a boxing style, is not going to take enough leg kicks and not get hit with a head kick that Conor's not going to finish him.
I don't think it's going to be the head kick. I think it's going to be torture to his legs, and I think it's going to be competitive for about 2-3 rounds possible.
Either way, I just see it that Diaz does not do well with kickers.
The gas is over. The gas is over for him. I think it's funny and it's fishy. And it smells of garbage and promotion. And honestly, I think Conor had a big hand. I think he has a lot more power behind the scenes than what a lot of the fans realize.
Oh, this man moves the walls. The C is for Conor in UFC.
And I think his camp had a lot to say yes or no wise on who they picked. I think in a perfect world, the UFC would have put Cowboy Cerrone in there. Why not? This guy just came off of his fight on Sunday. He's in shape. He's in shape. Exactly what you just said. It was a hard sparring session at Jackson's on TV in Pittsburgh instead. That's the only difference. He was in the gym on Monday running Hurricanes at Elevate here in Albuquerque. We all saw it. So he's in shape. McGregor is willing to go up to 170.
Cerrone was just there. He could have fought at 170 and fought at 55.
He could have fought at 65 if he wanted him to. I guarantee you Donald would have made that weight.
But the UFC wants a winnable fight for Conor.
Is it the UFC all the way, though?
It's the Fertitas.
Or is it 50-50? Is it Zuffa and Conor's camp that says where they dictate?
Well, you lost a lot of money on Ronda. You lost a lot of money on Sage and Paige. You can't afford to lose Conor.
And I don't know if you
lose Conor.
And I don't know if you know this, but there's rumors out there that's saying that the UFC is trying to sell, or Zuffa is trying to sell the UFC. The Fertitas are trying to get out of it. So I mean, you got to make as much money as possible. Show that it's worth what their rumor has it that they're asking $3 billion for the company, and Fox is looking at it already. So it might become like a Spike TV, Viacom. Fox is opening up. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
I think I seriously want to cry.
Yeah. So yeah.
Seriously queasy.
I've been talking to some people that I know that are inside of different things and have been pretty spot on with their predictions and stuff like that. And I'm hearing they're looking to get out of the fight game in the sense of, especially with the backlash of the sponsorship and everything else. And I know you're looking kind of shocked right now that I'm even saying this, but that's the honest truth is what I'm hearing.
Then again, $3 billion, I'm like, goddamn, if you're going to give me $3, yeah, I'm out, deuces. I don't blame them in the least. I was actually just kind of contemplating $3 million. I'm out. You give me $3 million, I'm out. They did enough for the sport. That'd be great.
Well, you got the sponsorship situation. That's a nightmare. You have Dana White as the head of the company, or the face of the company, I should say, reckless. Lately, as of late, he's been really reckless out there on saying different things. Plus, I don't agree with him. Even, and we'll touch on last week. He's over there giving his opinion on who he thought won. Why? It has nothing to do with your opinion. It doesn't matter your opinion. You want to share it within your circle. But in all honesty, he should be saying, "Hey, look, it's not up to me. It's up to the judges, and it's up to the fighters to not leave it in the hands of the judges. Period." He should never be out there saying, "Oh, well, Michael Bisping lost and this guy lost and that guy." Why shit on your guys? It doesn't make sense to me.
He's thrown too many people under the bus. And the way he's talked about them, I'm sure than nothing that when they become free agents, if Dana White and Zuffa's still around, Frankie Edgar and Miesha Tate will obviously be going to Spike TV. Frankie Edgar could win 2 or 3 titles there. Miesha Tate could drop to flyweight, where I believe she would be the best in the world at 125 pounds. That would be optimal for her. I would say they're leaving. But then again, if you're telling me that the guy that's burning all of his bridges, like a guy that's in his last couple days, Dana White, Joe Rogan, the Fertitas, who knows what's going to happen? Who knows what's going to happen to the sport that we all love?
Sure, but it all makes sense because you hear Joe Rogan even saying, "Oh, well, I'm questioning whether I want to be here." That could be all the game itself, setting himself up, saying, "Hey, I decided not to resign," even though, hey, you already knew this organization was Fox was taking it over. It's no longer run by your buddies that'll sit there on a plane talking about man balls and with Cyborg and stuff like that, where he has to issue apologies saying that she's a man and etc. and laughing with the head of a Zuffa organization on his podcast. He did this on the plane back from one of their events and stuff like that. He had him on, and it was a comedian that said,
"Didn't he offend all black people talking about Dada with fried chicken?"
Well,
yeah,
they're
burning bridges like they're leaving the world.
His heart was filled with fried chicken and
cheeseburgers and orange soda.
Well, guess what? My son is half black, and he don't eat fried chicken, orange soda, and cheeseburgers, and his heart's not full of that. So that's a stigma. That's ridiculous that he even says that, and he gets away with it. But it's because the top of the head of the whole Zuffa, or the public figure of him, Dana White, gets to say whatever the fuck he wants to say anytime he wants. So it trickles down. It trickles down. Everybody thinks they're basically limitless on what they can and can't say.
And then I think about them selling, and I just wonder what kind of people are Fox going to bring in to run this.
I think they're going to bring in the same crews they bring in for football. I think they're going to bring in the same guys they bring in for CBS basketball. Or I'm sorry, not CBS basketball, but when they do like NASCAR, like they're going to bring in.
Well, like I'm worried, like who would replace Dana White?
You just
bring up Mark Raffer?
You just wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, you could bring him in as a
I'm just hoping they're bringing somebody that's from the MMA community and they don't try to branch out to a businessman or someone that led it differently.
It's not rocket science to lead a business. You know what I mean? It really isn't. Especially if it's already, the wheel's already rolling and it's been established for so long. You can basically put a head CEO in and leave the lower guys in, the matchmakers and everybody else. And of course, you're going to weed in who you guys want, because even Spike TV's doing it. Look, Christian, who works for Bellator or did work for Bellator, left Bellator. Now he's a casino head in New York. And he went back home, but he was the guy that would sell all these different venues for Bellator. He would go out and seek different venues and whatnot. And he left. Why? Because his contract probably expired, and Scott Coker's involved now. So Scott's bringing in his own people. He has some of the support staff from the old Bellator regime, and that's all it's going to be. If and when it does happen, which I'm hearing they're shopping, I don't know if they're even close to that number. Fox is even close to that number to buy it. But I can see where they want to keep Conor winning to make it worth that much money.
It's a bigger entity. I mean, get out while the getting's good. It's hard to sell the guys right now, and maybe they're just saying that. There's too many bland dudes. There's not enough personalities. There are spectacular fights and knockouts, but you have to really know the people at the beginning of the sport, and we don't have anymore Anderson Silva. He's lost his luster. There is no GSP. We don't have the Tito Ortiz, the Chuck Liddell personalities, and I'm tired of Spike TV trying to dig up the graves to bring back these personalities. I mean, you could be looking more at Robbie Lawler, but he's just a workman personality. I mean, Spike TV's doing everything they can to sell Benson Henderson, who was a lot of workman personality. It's interesting to see how we're going to move forward for this. But this weekend, it's a big fight, and I got to also exclaim that I believe that the next challenger for Holly Holm lies on this card. Kicking off the main event, you have Amanda Nunes taking on Valentina Shevchenko. Juliana Pena is caught up in illegal transgressions, obviously. Ronda Rousey, I've been calling this all year. She's not going to fight until the summer. Holly's going to beat Misha. The winner of Amanda Nunes and Shevchenko, who obviously came out of nowhere and beat on a couple days' notice Sarah Kaufman, so you can't count her out. Amanda Nunes is founder striking, tremendous grappler, hottest name in the division next to Holly Holm, a longer in UFC win streak than Holly Holm. The winner of that fight is next to fight Holly Holm.
Is that marketable?
It's marketable if you do a fight night. It's marketable if you put the right card around it.
Fight Night Albuquerque, right?
Fight Night Albuquerque, that would sell out. That would be huge for Holly's popularity.
She sells out even in boxing. I could only imagine how quickly she'd sell out here.
You do that. You even do a pay-per-view where they're the undercard to we're waiting for Luke Rockhold to get a fight. What happens with Demetrius Johnson?
Why not do a fight pass? Look, you had Anderson Silva, Michael Bisping on there. Those are big names.
You
have heard
a title fight on Fight Pass. That would be huge. There are options. There are venues. But I believe that that's where we're going, and that here in the fall, that's what we're going to see. Holm versus the winner of Nunes versus Shevchenko. And then, end of the year, Ronda comes back and fights Holly.
Also, good luck to Diego Sanchez, who's going to be taking on Jim Miller. He's the main event of the Fight Pass, UFC Fight Pass. So if you got Fight Pass, you can check out Diego Sanchez on there as well.
People ask me, why do you have Anderson Silva on Fight Pass? I'm like, because they want people to buy it. Yeah. Same reason why you had the Dustin Poirier fight on there.
Yep.
The same reason why you're having Alexander Gustafsson fight on there before. It's $10 a month. They've stacked it with Glory, EBI is coming, tons of stuff. It's better than buying the pay-per-view in some aspects. Also, interesting fight. If we're talking about guys training out here, CR Bahadurzada trained out here for this fight coming up with Brandon Thatch. That's the main event of your Fox Sports 1 prelims.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you styles make fights. Diego is one of those kind of guys that's going to entertain you. And for $10 a month, UFC Fight Pass, I mean, I have it. You have it. A lot of people, it's easy. It's on the phone. I know they're having technical issues, especially this past weekend, so they're going to have to work out bugs. But which company doesn't? I mean, look, Facebook had to work out their own bugs.
Everybody does. And to be honest, I went back today, watched the event replay. You did too. My stream ran great on it. I was a little choppy live, but a couple hours later, it was great. And thinking about Invicta, Titan, there's so much, and then go back in the day and watch Prank Race and Pride and King of the Cage. It's
I'm
amazing.
even more excited now. You got EBI, Eddie Bravo Invitationals, now are live on there.
So do we know when the next event is for that?
Yeah, it's coming up pretty soon. I don't have the exact date, but
looking forward to that. We know they're going to make a big deal on the UFC
exciting.
events about that.
If you guys are in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and need a place to watch UFC 196, come out with the Fight Shop New Mexico. We're going to be at Library Bar and Grill on San Mateo. It's the bar and grill. It's not the downtown location. It's the one on San Mateo. We will be there. We're going to give out an autograph. Diego Sanchez. We're working on getting some Holly Holmes swag as well, and we'll go from there. It's always a good time. Get there early, as every place in Albuquerque will be packed that night. UFC 196, Fight Shop New Mexico, fight party at Library Bar and Grill in San Mateo. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back. We're going to touch on the local scene coming up.
And one more time, we got to thank International Strategic Partners, our sponsors, for letting us talk all this stuff.
Yes, sir. And right when we come back, we're going to talk to, actually, Micah's going to talk to Tim Sosa, headlining King of the Cage, coming back to Albuquerque March 26th, correct?
Fight game, March 19th.
March 19th, I'm sorry.
We'll be right back.
International Strategic Partners, not just another security company. Protection for home, business, and self, with background checks, self-defense courses, handgun, firearm licensing, security, and investigation services available. Contact ISP at 505-255-6063. That's 505-255-6063, or online at callisp.com.
The Fight Shop New Mexico in the Montano Plaza Shopping Center, located off Coors and Montano.
The DC Life Uncensored is back. You got Micah Frankel right now, just here. And we're going to be joined by King of the Cage Fight Game. One half of the main event, Timbo Slice, Tim Sosa, Mexico Wild Bunch, fighting out of Fit NHB. It's going to be taking on Jimmy the Brick Flick. Main event time, March 19th. Tim Sosa, thank you for the time. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How are you? Thank you for having me.
I'm well. I'm pumped up to see King of the Cage back here. Embassy Suites, that's right up the road from the gym. So how cool is that? Right up the road from the gym, 3 blocks away, you're fighting.
It's pretty cool. I'm more excited about the venue. You know, I heard it was just really, really nice. You know, the Embassy Suites is a pretty new hotel, so I'm excited about that. You know, as far as location is, you know, I'll fight anywhere, so I'm just more excited that it's super nice, you know.
Former King of the Cage amateur champion, you've been in some big fights, had some big experiences. What does the main event mean to you here in your hometown?
To be honest, you're going to get an underwhelming response from me. Like, I don't, main event, I could honestly care less. If anything, it's more of a hassle to wait that long in the back. But as far as other people concerned, they love it. They're like, oh my gosh, you're the main event. You know, that's so cool. But, you know, for me, it's just another fight. You know, I signed up to fight, and so it is what it is. Just turns out I have to wait longer for this one.
Does that do anything promotional side? Make it easier. Hey, I'm the main event. For you, get money. Hey, pay me more. I'm the main event. Getting you money, sponsorship-wise.
Yeah, actually, that's what main event is good for. Is like a marketing tool. Like, hey, are you guys interested in sponsoring me? I'm a main event. Or hey, guys, come check out my fight. I'm main event. You know, people are like, that's so cool. You're main event. So yeah, actually, for promotional uses, it works out great for me.
And then as far as an opponent, only one loss for Jimmy Flick. As far as you moving forward in your career, what kind of step up in a challenge is this for you?
It's definitely the next logical step, as I'm starting to string together wins, and let's get, I'm ready to take on more experienced and better quality opponents. As far as the challenge that Jimmy Flick poses, I'm hungry. I want it. I'm not scared, not nervous. I want it bad. So very excited.
Both of you guys, as far as stoppages go, the majority of the fights, both of you have ended on the ground. So have you thought about that? What kind of intriguing ground battle we could be expecting?
Honestly, that's his strength, and I definitely don't feel like my wrestling and jiu-jitsu came along tremendously. But, that's his strong suit, and while we don't feel like I'll be a fish out of water, definitely want to prefer to take the path of least resistance and keep it standing and, impose my will there.
And as far as your striking goes, where do you feel you've been improving the most in that aspect of your game?
Definitely my hands. I've always been more of primarily a kicker, but I've been working a lot with my hands, just tightening up everything and just trying to get a better flow. We have Matt Priest back now, which is a lot of people might recall him from the old school Wild Bunch. He just moved back, and he's an excellent coach. So I've been getting in some mitts and some pointers here with them, and already in the few times that we've worked, seen a tremendous increase in my technique. So.
And obviously, you're talking about the boxing, and you've been a kicker. You're a lengthier flyweight. This fight is at 130. How much have you been looking to utilize your natural gifts, your length, your size at flyweight?
I'm always looking forward to use it. I definitely have some my tools that make me what I am as a fighter, that I do better than most people, are better than others. Always in the gym, always trying to work on getting better at that stuff, using it, imposing it, and tightening up my weaknesses. So it's like it never stops. It's not like just because I got this fight, I'm trying to use that all of a sudden. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then the other part of it was fights at 130 pounds is what it was announced. So it's up 5 pounds for you. We've been seeing you at flyweight. How much easier is that now, 130?
I treat it just like I'm going to, 125. We're just not going to be cutting out water. So I definitely try and get a mentality that I'm going to beat my opponent at the scale. I'm a firm believer in, the better weight cut, the more you perform, so I'm not depleting my body. It's like I'm going to flyweight. It's like the same. It's just I won't really have to dehydrate on the day of the weigh-ins if everything goes correctly.
We know that you've been up to the UFC before, alongside working corner for Ray Borg. So what has it done for you, seeing behind the scenes of a big promotion like that as you're working your way up?
If anything, it frustrates me, man. It frustrates me. I see the guys that are in there, and then I see them in person, and I see that they're not. It's not like they're way bigger than me. It's not like they're a lot better than me. And what it does is it kind of just gives me reassurance that where I'm at, I'm gonna be here. I will be here soon. Ask anyone on the team, I will be there. But the most frustrating about it is seeing all these other new dudes, especially in the workout room, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they suck so bad. I'm so much better than that guy that's in this UFC that's taking my spot on the roster. But I still got to work my way up and to get that call. So I just
Keep on working. We know the UFC is a big goal. Do you have some smaller ones in mind as you keep towards that bigger one?
Honestly, like I don't try and think too far ahead. What I have right now is Jimmy Flick, and my goal is just to show everything, all the hard work that I've been putting in the gym, all the strength and conditioning, all that hard work. My goal is to just put it to use on Jimmy Flick and get through the challenge that he presented.
And then bringing up the strength and conditioning, that's been a hot topic in a lot of the corners of combat sports. Still working with Athlete Ready?
Yes, working with that. I'll see him tomorrow, actually.
Jared Saavedra, so how do you feel differently, and what has it added to your game having the structured out program that they've presented you?
One of the biggest things that Jared was about was creating a base, like an athletic base of just like basic movements and just like athletic, kind of going over muscle, muscles that I was lacking, I guess, muscle movements, strength. I'm trying to think of a word, like places where I was lacking in my muscle activities, I guess. But and then also the biggest thing on rest, like he's a lot structured. He's structured to where if today's our hard day, well, these are going to be function. These other few days that we're working are going to be functioned or aimed at flushing out our muscles and recovery and adjusting if we need to go lighter and stuff. It's not like just I'm going to beat you down every day in the gym. It's every time you show up. It's very functional and it's very geared towards MMA. Like I'm finding my other teammates. I'm coming in stronger. Like I'm like I almost feel like I'm a man sometimes. Thrown into my man strength, and my conditioning is staying very high. So I loved working with Jared, man. One of the best things I've ever done.
March 19th, it's King of the Cage fight game. Tim Sosa in the main event. Tim, excited for the fight. Thank you for the time. Who do you got to shout out to?
Definitely Tom Vaughn, Arlene Sanchez Vaughn, John Judy. They're my coaches. Wouldn't be anywhere without them. Jared Saavedra, Athlete Ready. And also going to shout out my sponsors, Carissa and Chris Grigsby at Champion Cryo. That's been a life-changing thing for me, is their cryotherapy treatments. And Dave Kramer and Art Sandoval at Jerky by Art. You guys got to go try that hot and spicy teriyaki. That thing's addicting, man.
Thank you for the time. We'll promise that CageMinds.com will have a video interview with Tim Sosa a little bit before the fight. We'll be back after these messages from the fight shop and from ISP. Thank you for the time, Tim.
Thank you.
ISP, that's International Strategic Partners. When you think protection in New Mexico, you should think ISP, not your everyday security company, offering background checks, self-defense courses, handgun, firearm licensing, and a plethora of security, patrol, and investigation options. Call us at 505-255-6063. That's 505-255-6063, or online at callisp.com.
The Fight Shop New Mexico in the Montano Plaza Shopping Center, located off Coors and Montano.
And we're back, the DC Life Uncensored. Michael Franco, was joined by King of the Cage. What is it called? Fight Game?
Fight Game.
Fight Game headliner Tim Sosa out of Fit NHB. It's going to be an exciting night of fights locally. It's going to be at Embassy Suites downtown Albuquerque. It's a beautiful venue. I've been there. It is awesome. I'm excited for it. But right now, Micah Franco's going to quickly run down the CageMinds.com local scene. Micah, take it over.
We know it's fight week. It's fight week everywhere. It starts Friday night. Bellator 151. Why are we talking about that with the local scene? Undefeated, Mean Machine, Steve Garcia out of Jackson Winks. Bantamweight looking to become 7-0. Tune into the Bellator, Spike.com prelims. Check him out against fellow undefeated 135er Ricky Tresellos. So I encourage you guys, go to CageMinds.com, Cage Minds MMA show. If you can just find it on YouTube. We got an interview with Steve Garcia talking about his impending free agency and how he can make it to a Spike.com main card. Also on Friday night, Groovy Lando Venata out of Jackson Wink is going to be in the RFA 36 main event challenging Hani Barcelos for their 145-pound title. Venata was an RFA Knockout of the Year candidate in 2015, crushing Chad Curry with a right hand. Venata joined me. That's also up on CageMinds.com. We talked about mindset, philosophy, finding his flow. Brandon Gibson has described this young man as the next generation fighter. He's also undefeated. Could this catapult him to the UFC? Talk about UFC. The Magician, John Dotson, is returning to 135 pounds. He's going to be meeting Tough Season 5. All the way back from Tough Season 5, a former WEC title challenger at 145 pounds, now down at 135, Manny the Anvil Gambirian. So we got more Jacksons versus that Glendale fight team going on out there in California. Talking about Bama took place this weekend. Tom Fireball Kidd, the French Bama 145-pound champion, dropped to 135, won with a second-round TKO. You will see this kid in the UFC soon enough. Following weekend, we're talking about March 11th, Invicta FC 16, the main event. Aaka Hamasaka, Amber the Bully Brown, atomweight title. The Bully looking to bring that belt back to the 505. She's looking mean and looking to install her ground and pound. We also got coming up the next night on the 12th, Pitbull Josh Torres, CBS Sports. First installment, a knockout night at the D, Super Zab Judah. This is the chance for Pitbull to shock the world, make a lot of money, and get his name out there. Don't forget also Cody East officially making his UFC debut April 23rd. The same card is John Bones Jones. Locally, we said King of the Cage fight game, March 19th. Little more sauce on that. Told you about the great main event. Co-main event, John Rosamund moves up to welterweight, taking on a tough veteran Mario Ramos. And in the amateur side, Cynthia Sin Arceo, the 115-pound women's amateur champion. She's going to be defending her title. That's going to be an action-packed night. And then, I believe we're going to April 1st. There is rumors of a Colorado MMA event that may have some New Mexico flavor in it. We'll keep you up to date with that. April 2nd, Las Cruces, Southwest Brawl 3. A lot of flavor down there. Randy McCarty and Richard Hawkes, a Bellator vet. They're both on the card. Same night, 66 Casino. Conrad Padilla's in action. No, that's going to be a stat card. We're going May. Holmes Boxing is talking about an event. We're hearing rumbles that Legacy Boxing will be back, and something about Chaos and Clovis Boxing also. So May 14th, you're going to take your pick because you also have UFC 198 and Bellator 154. There's so much MMA. It's so amazing. You guys, if you're New Mexico fight fans, again, Bellator 151, RFA 36, and, of course, UFC 196 at the Library Bar and Grill on San Mateo. It's a busy weekend to be a fight fan.
That was the CageMinds.com. Local flavor, local sauce was poured on. It was a good week, this show. Micah, I got to say congratulations to you, sir. You are tying the knot with your lady this weekend. I'll be there on Saturday in the morning time. And then, of course, at night we're going to be watching the fights, UFC 196. But congratulations, Micah, on settling down. I wish you guys nothing but the best. And that's an awesome feeling. And good luck to you guys. And good luck to you guys in the future.
getting married, and then we'll have Dennis DC Chavez there to be like, it's fight time! It's fight time!
Hey, don't put it past him. Plus, he can marry you. He's an ordained minister. I'm not even messing around. That's another story for another time. Any last words before we go?
If you got money, I throw it down on Diaz because I'm sure he's going to be a gymnastic underdog in this fight.
Any other thoughts?
Taking McGregor to win, though.
That's it for this week's edition of the DC Life Uncensored. The DC Life Uncensored is recorded live inside the Fight Shop New Mexico on Coors and Montano, and always up at cageminds.com. We'll be back next week with our reaction to UFC 196. See you next time.